Hello, friends. I think it's needless to say that Germany has long established itself as a leader in automotive trends. This happened back in the middle of the last century. However, it's worth mentioning that initially, German cars were not taken very seriously, and all attention was focused on giants of that time, such as Ford. Yet, it's important to acknowledge that the somewhat dismissive attitude towards German cars was justified back then. For example, the newly introduced Mercedes cars were reliable from the start. However, German traits like persistence, precision, and meticulousness eventually bore fruit. One of those fruits was the emergence of the Audi automotive conglomerate, which is now known worldwide. Today, we will talk about how this automotive giant came into existence, who stood at its origins, and what it all started with. The history of the brand dates back to the late 19th century when, in 1889, the ingenious German engineer August Horch established his first car factory, laying the foundation for the future conglomerate. August came from an ordinary blacksmith's family, living modestly. At the age of 13, he had to quit school to help his father. By the age of 16, August was working at a railway car factory in Heidelberg alongside adults. Biographers say that his challenging work and tough life left an imprint on his character. From an early age, he understood that only determination, assertiveness, and hard work could help him escape poverty and achieve something in life. At the age of 16, August worked and saved money, and at the age of 20, almost an adult, he was able to resume his education. Thanks to his perseverance and desire, he independently passed exams and enrolled in the Saxon Technical College, after which he got a job at a foundry in Rostock and later in the design office of the Leipzig shipbuilding company. However, the story might never have known about this young lad if not for what happened one day. While living in Leipzig, Horch saw Benz Velo cars for the first time. For those unfamiliar, Benz Velo was the world's first mass-produced four-wheeled car designed by Carl Benz. This quirky little car, if it can be called that now, was a scaled-down version of Benz Victoria, Benz's first four-wheeled model in 1893, which became a significant success for Carl Benz. Benz Velo was produced from 1894 to 1901, and 134 units were manufactured in the first 2 years. By the end of production in 1901, around 1,300 cars were produced. It was the Benz Velo model patented in 1895 that was declared the first standardized, i.e., mass-produced model of a car. Of course, the world did not yet know what a car was, and this mechanical wonder caused interest among all passers-by when it appeared on the city streets. Young boys looked at this engineering marvel with envy. This is how August Horch, rushing home from work, encountered the car. However, while many onlookers were fascinated by Carl Benz's world's first car, our hero was not impressed. It's not known much about this moment, only that the car displeased August so much that he even wrote a letter to Carl Benz asking for a job. In his letter, August wrote his criticisms of what he didn't like, paying special attention to the car's design, and added that he knew how to do it better. Amazing, isn't it? This simple chance encounter of a boy walking home from work with a car forever changed not only his life, but also the history of automotive manufacturing. You won't believe it, but when Carl Benz read his letter and became interested in the young man, he immediately invited him to work for the company. Within a month, he even appointed him as the head of production, a position Horch held for 3 years. Daddy Benz, that's how August referred to the founder of the brand, and it's worth mentioning that Carl taught August a lot. The only thing that greatly annoyed Horch was Benz's conservatism in everything. He wanted to innovate, create, and develop something new. He wanted to experiment and put his skills to the test, especially since he already had experience gained under the guidance of the car inventor. However, Benz didn't allow him much freedom, and eventually, all this made August think about creating his own car. Of course, without the necessary investments, starting his own company was simply impossible. Fortunately, a determined young engineer caught the attention of a wealthy industrialist who helped August open his firm, named A. Horch & Co. In 1899, the company had only 11 employees, but within 6 months, it increased several times, and by 1900, the first Horch car, designed personally by him, was produced, completely different from Benz's cars. Its 2-cylinder engine with 4 horsepower was known for its quiet and smooth operation, and the designer did his best to surpass his teacher. The front-engine, rear-wheel drive car had a leather belt for transmission, and the gearbox was locked with the main gear, a bold decision for that time. The body was ordered from the workshop in Cologne. That's how the famous brand began, laying the foundation for the future conglomerate. Just 2 years later, another car was released, the Horch Model 2, created in collaboration with engineer Fritz Seidel. Thanks to this, the company was able to move from a small hangar to a larger factory in Reichenbach, and the workforce increased to 100 people. But August's ambitions were so great that production couldn't keep up with his innovative ideas, and in 1903, the company moved again, this time to Zwickau. In the same year, August managed to find additional funding and actively started developing his next car model. It took 4 years to release new cars, but these 4 years paid off within a few months with the production of 307 units of Horch Z, equipped with a 22-horsepower engine. By this time, the company's capital had grown several times and amounted to 525,000 Reichsmarks. But August didn't intend to stop there. After all, at that time, the best promotion for cars was racing. Of course, any respectable manufacturer had to showcase their creation in races. Since 1906, Horch cars actively participated in races. However, it was the loss in the Henry of Prussia Prize that sparked a conflict between August and the shareholders. The latter considered Horch an adventurer and disagreed with his ideas for the company's development. Due to these disagreements, a court decision forced Horch to leave the management of the company named after him. Essentially, he was kicked out. Thus, August Horch found himself with nothing. Nothing except for experience and a strong desire to create. For about 6 months, August did nothing and suffered from depression. But during the evenings, he recorded new ideas in a notebook. When the small notebook was almost full, he realized that no one would give him the opportunity to implement these ideas unless he took matters into his own hands. Fortunately, by that time, he had earned a good reputation and made the necessary connections. Borrowing a substantial sum of 200,000 marks from friends and business partners, essential for a new venture, Horch, whose surname means listen, agonizingly contemplated a possible name for his new company. As often happens, a simple coincidence played its part. One day, a schoolboy, the son of one of the engineer's friends who happened to study Latin, was in his presence, conjugating the verb audire, which also meant to listen. As you may have guessed, the name of the new company was invented, becoming synonymous with the word Horch. Audi, translated from Latin, also meant listen. Thus, the new company was established just a few months later in 1910 in the town of Zwickau and was named Audi Automobilwerke GmbH. Under all circumstances, I aim to build only big and good cars from first-class materials, said Horch, unfolding his business in a new place. And he didn't deceive. The first car produced under the Audi brand, Model 22 Australian dollars, had a 4-cylinder engine with a working volume of 2,612 cubic centimeters and developed 22 horsepower. Just a year later, Audi cars were already participating in races, winning prizes. During this period, models such as S1435, produced until 1925, and the D and I series were released. Before the historical turning point of 1914, Horch was actively involved in engineering, but his relations with shareholders were again not very favorable. However, What worked to his advantage in this situation was that even before the war, August Horch had managed to secure administrative positions in city structures and became a member of the Feldkraftwagen Council, a company specializing in the sale of military vehicles. Standing firmly on his feet, Horch moved to Berlin. As he himself said at the time, Berlin was the heart of Germany, the source, and he wanted to be at the source. However, even this did not help, and history repeated itself. While he was in Berlin, shareholders in Zwickau ousted Horch from the direct management of Audi. He remained only a member of the supervisory board. However, the reputation of the constructor in automotive circles, it must be said, did not suffer at all. In 1922, the Braunschweig University of Technology awarded Horch an honorary doctorate, and he began to frequently attend various public events. Although he never returned to automobile engineering, even after 8 years, in 1930, one could read in specialized periodicals an announcement, in critical cases, seek advice from Dr. Engineer Horch. So, what happened to Audi? In 1928, this brand was acquired by the motorcycle manufacturer Daikaui, and in 1931, the debut of the front-wheel drive car Daikaui F1 took place. This model was the opposite of those produced under Horch's leadership. Firstly, due to the global economic crisis, cars with large engine capacities were no longer in demand. Then the head of Audi instructed to develop a compact front-wheel drive car. This was the DKW F1. The economic crisis significantly affected the further development of the company. The Saxon Municipal Bank, an official creditor of several companies, including Audi, was concerned about its substantial investments. This likely led to an important and global decision. On June 29, 1932, all Audi, Horch, Wanderer, and DKW factories merged into one conglomerate, Auto Union AG. The familiar four rings symbolized the merger of the four companies. Initially, the Audi logo was only used on racing cars, while each company produced ordinary cars under its brand with its own emblems. But soon, all manufactured mechanisms received the logo. After this global merger, the conglomerate became the second largest automaker in Germany within days, with each company specializing in a different sector of the automotive industry. For example, Audi focused on sports cars, DKW on motorcycles, Horch on large and luxurious cars, and Wanderer on the mid-range luxury segment. Now, we have reached 1944, and as you may understand, World War II had its impact on the conglomerate. By the beginning of 1944, almost all factories were bombed, and there is even a belief that during heavy bombings, the conglomerate continued to exploit its workers. According to a report from 2014 commissioned by the company, Auto Union bore moral responsibility for 4,500 deaths in Leitmeritz. The accuracy of these data is unknown to me, but the fact remains. In the end, by the conclusion of the war, most of the plants were destroyed, equipment was dismantled and taken out of the country. The company was saved from closure by the fact that some of the equipment had been moved to Bavaria shortly before the extensive military actions. Production of motorcycles and all components continued there. The company was officially re-registered only by the end of the 1940s with the introduction of the first post-war car, the DKW F89P Master Class. By the end of the 1950s, the conglomerate sold 88% of its shares to Daimler-Benz AG. However, a couple of years later, this same company bought all the rights back. But the financial condition of this company left much to be desired, which led Auto Union to join Volkswagen in 1964. At that time, little was known about Audi, and no one positioned a car with this brand. However, this changed when, under new management, the production of the Audi lineup resumed. Audi was resurrected secretly. After the acquisition of Audi by Volkswagen, all production capacity was directed solely towards the development of Volkswagen cars. However, former Audi engineer Ludwig Krauss, who was now working for the new company, secretly worked on the development of a new model. When Volkswagen learned about it, they did not interfere. And so, friends, the mid-size Audi 100 was born, which soon became a true legend. The car was offered in the body of a 2-door and 4-door sedan and a fastback. It became the progenitor of a whole family of cars, all of which retained the front-wheel drive system and longitudinal engine placement. These cars were hugely popular not only in Germany but also in the USSR, where they were imported in large quantities, especially after the release of the second generation. The model was characterized by excellent dynamic characteristics, practicality, and high comfort. But Audi truly stood on its own feet only in 1969 after merging with NSU Motorenwerk AG. In 1972, the Audi 80 was introduced, a compact car that shared the platform with the Volkswagen Passat and was available as a sedan or station wagon. Later, a luxury version of this car, the Audi 90, was released. The model featured a McPherson front suspension and telescopic shock absorbers. It was offered with a range of gasoline engines ranging from 54 to 100 horsepower. In 1973, this model was named the European Car of the Year, beating Alfa Romeo Alfetta and Renault 5. In 1974, Ferdinand Piëch took over the design department of the brand. Under his leadership, a 5-cylinder engine, turbocharging technology, and all-wheel drive on a passenger car were introduced. In 1985, the company was renamed Audi AG and continued to evolve, introducing innovations such as fully galvanized bodies, turbocharged gasoline engines, direct injection diesel engines, improved aerodynamics, aluminum bodies, as well as powerful 8 and 12-cylinder engines. In 1993, the Audi Group was formed, which eventually included Hungarian and Brazilian subsidiaries. Additionally, British Cosworth Technology and Italian Automobili Lamborghini were acquired. Oh, and of course, Spanish Seat. On March 3, 1980, at the Geneva Motor Show, Audi unveiled a sensational novelty, the first passenger car with quattro all-wheel drive. The idea of installing an all-wheel drive system on a passenger car emerged in 1976 during the testing of the VW Iltis off-road vehicle. Its excellent handling on snowy roads inspired engineers to implement the same system on the Audi 80 model. That's how, a year later, the finished conceptual project appeared, and the car itself was named Quattro, which means 4 in Italian. Initially, the car was ridiculed and criticized for its complex construction and high weight. However, Quattro began to set records in competitions, winning numerous trophies. After that, the company released a commercial where the model climbed a ski jump. In response to skeptical claims that the car was winched up, the company repeated the climb, and demand for the model reached unprecedented heights. In 1990, the company introduced the updated Audi 100, which was equipped for the first time with a 2.8-liter V6 engine producing 174 horsepower. It was considered the lightest power unit in its class. The next major changes in the model lineup occurred in 1995 when the Audi A4 replaced the Audi 80. The new model was based on the same platform as the Volkswagen Passat 5th generation. In terms of dimensions, it was almost indistinguishable from the model it replaced, but received a number of innovations. The car stood out for improved handling stability and high passive safety indicators. Also, in 1994, the Audi 100 was succeeded by the A6, classified as a business class. It was equipped with gasoline engines, including twin-turbocharged ones, diesel power units, and a system of full or front-wheel drive. As for the Audi TT Sports Coupe, it was first presented at the Geneva Motor Show in 1998. And a year later, the Roadster was introduced, equipped with front or all-wheel drive, starting from the second generation with a turbocharged engine and an automatic transmission. It is also worth noting that since 1994, the brand rapidly entered the premium segment, presenting the world with the executive sedan Audi A8. The cars of this brand quickly won the hearts of millions of fans worldwide, primarily for increased comfort, good sound insulation, reliable rust-resistant bodies, and, of course, reliability. In our time, you can still see a significant number of representatives of the golden era of the 90s on the roads, with not a single sign of rust. Decent sales volumes even allowed the company to take another equally well-known Italian supercar brand, Lamborghini, under its wing. Thanks to the coordinated work of Audi's designers in the 90s, the brand found a second wind. The same can be said for Ducati motorcycles, a brand that also came under Audi's reliable wing. The mid-2000s marked a good time for the company. In 2005, the first Audi Q7 SUV was introduced with a permanent all-wheel drive system, a 6-speed automatic transmission, and an optional electronic helper during lane changes. In 2007, the company introduced the two-seater sports car R8 with a mid-engine layout, based on the Lamborghini Gallardo platform. It utilized an aluminum monocoque and an all-wheel drive system. Moreover, it was the world's first production car with fully LED headlights. Since the release of the first Audi car, the production of cars has been increasing year by year. Starting from 2010, it has surpassed 1 million units per year. Additionally, Audi's model range is extensive, including executive cars, racing cars, supercars, crossovers, and, of course, regular sedans. Nevertheless, even Audi's compact cars are not just vehicles. Today, they are indicators of the owner's success and taste. It might be interesting for you to learn a few facts about this brand. For those unaware, Audi was the first company to conduct crash tests, with the first one conducted as far back as 1938. Early on, Audi and Porsche premium class cars enjoyed great popularity among affluent Germans. Adolf Hitler, the Nazi leader, frequently used the beautiful and powerful Porsche 930 for trips in occupied Germany. Another interesting fact is that Audi cars are highly popular among people under 30, despite their conservatism and high cost. The first car in the world to reach a speed of 200 kilometers per hour over a 1 kilometer distance was an Audi. Currently, the group employs more than 85,000 people. Audi cars and motorcycles are officially represented in more than 120 countries, with 17 Audi production sites in 13 countries. Despite the impressive production volumes and other innovations, the focus of the group's activities remains on the development of new models and environmentally friendly technologies for the future. The founder August Horch's demands for power and quality are reflected in every car of this brand. Audi's style is based on refined rationalism, with a distinctly classical design, emphasizing functionality over efficiency even in appearance, avoiding anything superfluous. This is perhaps why Audi is loved by many fans, people with high incomes, and discerning tastes. As for the company's founder, after August left the company, he was still treated favorably by the Nazi elite. He continued to serve on the ministry's council. Skillfully playing his role, Horch actively advocated for restricting the import of American cars. In 1942, at the age of 74, Horch was elected vice president of the supervisory board of Auto Union. The group and the Reich, however, had little time left to live. Despite being visible and holding important positions in Hitler's Germany, August did not join the Nazi Party. This likely saved him from persecution after the war. Quietly retiring, Horch remained proud until his last days that he had given a significant start to such an automotive giant. The father of Audi passed away on February 3, 1951, in Bavaria, quietly and without unnecessary pomp. Nevertheless, both brands indebted to Horch are not forgotten. Horch's cars stand alongside the most famous cars of the 1930s, and the Audi brand is alive to this day, even though cars are now built not in Zwickau but in Ingolstadt. Nevertheless, they have an excellent reputation worldwide. And I believe this is the best memory of August Horch, a talented designer whose name will forever remain in the history of automotive engineering. Friends, how do you personally feel about Audi cars, and have you had any experience owning them? Write your opinion in the comments. Well, for today, that's all. Rate the video, and see you soon. Bye.